the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Thousands of Ultra-Orthodox protest in the U.S. against the draft in Israel. The Jews of Nigeria engaging autistic children with drama programming, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. At least 1/3 of the committee that appoints rabbinic judges in Israel will now be composed of women. A new law passed by the Knesset this week is another example of how the new Israeli government, which for the first time in a long time does not include ultra-Orthodox parties in its coalition, is reshaping Israel's future. Rabbinic judges in Israel are currently selected by an 8-member panel that is a mix of rabbis, rabbinical judges, elected or appointed officials, and lawyers. The new mandate of this law is that at least 4 women be a part of that panel. It's not clear if that means women will always be at least half of an 8-member panel, or if they'd be mandated as a smaller portion of a panel that could be as large as 12 members. The law passed over significant protests from ultra-Orthodox parties. Including women on the selection committee is expected both to liberalize an institution that has been seen as increasingly ultra-Orthodox in its outlook and judgments, as well as to offer a diversity of views that could see new issues take the fore in the selection of rabbinic judges in the Jewish state. Meanwhile, the issue regarding the ultra-Orthodox in Israel that's been making headlines for months is still generating conflict. For the third time in the past 3 weeks, ultra-Orthodox men have attacked fellow members of the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel, seemingly because the victims had enlisted as soldiers in the Israel Defense Forces and were wearing their uniforms. The attack this week occurred when an ultra-Orthodox soldier was driving through Jerusalem. It was summarized by police spokesperson Mickey Rosenfeld in the Jerusalem Post. A number of ultra-Orthodox youth blocked the soldier's car from the front, threatened him, and then dragged him out of the vehicle and attacked him. They then tore off his yarmulke and fled the scene when police arrived. The victim of the attack was treated at a local hospital for what were described as minor injuries and has since been released, according to Rosenfeld. This follows on a larger attack in late May that saw dozens of ultra-Orthodox men stoning 2 ultra-Orthodox IDF soldiers in the ultra-Orthodox neighborhood of Mea Shearim. Also in May, ultra-Orthodox protesters at an IDF recruitment center attacked ultra-Orthodox IDF soldiers who had arrived to create a counter-protest. Those soldiers were attacked with a mix of rocks, glass bottles, a smoke bomb, and other projectiles. All of these attacks surround the debate in Israel regarding whether and how to start drafting ultra-Orthodox men into the Israeli military and national service, as is done with all non-ultra-Orthodox Jewish citizens of Israel. That's a debate that has spilled over into the United States, and Sunday saw thousands of ultra-Orthodox protesting in New York City. The protesters carried signs declaring, "The Israeli draft law is an attack on our freedom of religion. Orthodox Jews will proudly go to jail rather than join the Zionist army." Several of the protesters dressed themselves in orange and marched inside of cages to indicate an ultra-Orthodox willingness to go to prison rather than serve in the IDF. An anti-Israel protest was also held in the ultra-Orthodox village of Kiryas Joel in upstate New York on Sunday. Images from failedmessiah.com show these children who made a sign for the protest out of toys, which, as best as we can tell, is meant to say Zionists, phooey. Moving on, we've spoken so far about Jews in Israel and Jews in the United States. Now we'll focus on the Jews of Nigeria, featured in a new documentary. Christian Neen reports.
This is a Jewish community in Africa, but the Jews who live within it aren't converts. They are the Igbos of Nigeria, and tradition tells them that they are descendants of ancient Jews of Israel. Now a new documentary is shedding more light on this community. Re-emerging the Jews of Nigeria is the work of New York Jewish filmmaker Jeff Lieberman, who shared his reaction to learning about the community from a visual presentation given by Rabbi Howard Gorin.
I remember one picture in particular was this almost a hut in the forest, and as you got closer you could see that there was a Star of David on it, and he explained that this was a synagogue. And I was just sort of overwhelmed that there were people practicing Judaism in the middle of what seemed like nowhere. So I was fascinated, and I thought, he's obviously doing an amazing job, telling the story. But I almost feel like I want to help tell the story, and, I feel like there's a documentary here.
There are other Jewish communities in sub-Saharan Africa, including the Abu Yudaya, who are a community of converts in Uganda that have been the subject of previous documentaries. An American rabbinic court, or Beit Din, including Rabbi Gorin, went to Uganda to try and satisfy Orthodox standards of conversion for the Abba Yudaya.
The entire community has been looking forward to this day for a long time and wants the official recognition of what is a fact, that the religion of this community is Judaism, and the identification of this community is Jewish.
But the Igbos have a different perspective on their Jewish identity.
If you ask Shemuel, who's sort of the central figure in my film, does he need to convert, he would say no, because he's Jewish by birth, because his ancestors were Jewish. Same way if you ask me, do I need to convert, I would say, well, no, up to my knowledge, my ancestors are all Jewish, and therefore I am too. From the more intellectual side, an Igbo would basically say no, there's no reason for conversion. From a political standpoint, I think there are some who are smart enough to say, okay, we'll do this ceremony for you if it makes you feel better and makes us accepted into the larger Jewish society.
To hear more from filmmaker Jeff Lieberman about his new documentary, Re-Emerging the Jews of Nigeria, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. Finally, providing support to autistic children through drama is the Miracle Project. Meredith Gansman has that story.
Stupid loud in New York. There's such a crowd in New York. So much noise and acting is like really my thing.
13-year-old Connor Tegg has been bitten by the acting bug.
When I started acting, I felt inspired. I felt like I felt like I was myself in the future. In the future, I was like a movie star or an artist.
The aspiring actor recently starred in the Miracle Project's original musical, East Side Glory, at the 92nd Street Y. And he, like all the other actors on stage, and like one out of every 88 children in America today, is autistic. Jewish former Hollywood children's acting coach Elaine Hall created the Miracle Project in 2004 after her adopted son, Neil, was diagnosed with autism, as seen in the Emmy Award-winning HBO documentary, Autism the Musical. The 22-week program develops social skills for children and teens with autism and other special needs through music, dance, acting, writing, and ultimately, producing and performing an original musical.
I was incredibly surprised to see, that we could actually create a play, and it was actually a really good play.
Aaron Feinstein is the director of the Miracle Project's East Side Glory. The Miracle Project's productions began as Judaica shows, and as the musical's themes have developed, so has the platform for overcoming the challenges of autism. Autism often hinders communication and promotes isolation, but in production, ensemble forms.
The kids that are a lot of times individualistic and are really thinking about maybe just themselves come out of their shell and really become part of a group and bring the play to life.
One kid coming out of her shell is Emily Weinstein. Like everyone else in the cast, she's autistic. She's also a major enthusiast about classical Rome, which is why she wears this laurel everywhere she goes. The production even wrote the laurel into her character so that she could wear it on stage.
I learned that there's a lot of give and take. Like, I want it to be all about Rome, but that wasn't gonna happen.
To learn more about the Miracle Project, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 505, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Cable Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and on Comcast in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.